Today could be possibly Louis van Gaal's last game at Manchester United, and we're asking Reds today, what is their message for Louis van Gaal?
Thanks, but it's time to move on, matey. Time to move on. You've not really given United what we wanted, and thanks, but time for somebody else to come in and give us something what we want, and that's fast-flowing football, attacking football, not playing the ball on the 18-yard. It's just boring. And you know, and De Gea having the highest percentage stats, you know, on certain games is just ridiculous. Can't do it anymore. Time to move on.
Get rid of him. You gone, mate. Jose Mourinho's coming in.
Do you want a nice one, or do you want me to be a bit...
From the heart.
Fuck off. Leave. I do not want him here anymore. If you'd asked me that question after last season, it'd have been thank you for, you know, a bit of progression. But this season, no, fuck off. We've gone backwards. It's just awful to watch. Poor football. We get poor results and we're having to scrape fourth here, hoping that we have to rely on other people's results because we can't get away at West Ham when we need one. It's awful. Leave the club.
Can we take any positives from Louis van Gaal's reign?
He seems to have built a slightly more solid foundation than we did when David Moyes was here, but in terms of football, no. It's really poor football. He seems to have no passion for the club either. He doesn't seem to care. He comes out every week in his interviews saying he's doing his job, and he blames everyone but himself. And it shouldn't be like that. If he's causing problems, he should take the blame and man up to it. But he just won't. It's awful.
I would say, well, basically I'm representing quite a few of the Kazakhstan supporters of the club. Well, and the supporters basically say that you did your job. You gave a chance to our youngsters to perform, and which they're doing quite good. And you formed the base, and basically you've done your job, and probably that's a good time to leave.
Thanks for bringing the youth in. Enjoy your retirement. But in all honesty, it completely depends on whether the board's going to keep him or not. And I have to be honest. With Ed Woodward in charge, I think there's a small chance that this isn't going to be his last game. I think, yeah, if I had a message, I'll stick to nice things like that.
I think, to be honest, he needs to go this year. I think we should get a new manager. Even though we will win the FA Cup, we're being really bad. Like, the performances are really bad in the stadium. So I think next year, bring a better manager in, maybe Mourinho, maybe Pochettino, who knows, because I saw a Pochettino meeting Alex Ferguson, you never know. But Louis van Gaal next year needs to go.
My message for Louis van Gaal is, Louis van Gaal, you've done okay. Not great, just okay. You've brought a lot of you through, maybe because you didn't buy a lot of players in the transfer window, and you brought the youth through because we've had no other choice. But however, you have kept Rashford in the side once we've got all the people who were injured back to full fitness. Now, I would say I definitely think that you should have kept Chicharito and maybe Van Persie as well. But you know, that's your decision. You know, we totally respect that. And the thing is, but I think footballing-wise, you haven't been that great. We've played a lot of sideways football. You've brought on a lot of defenders when we've been chasing the game, and you could have brought on attacking players. Hasn't been a great season, but you know what? We've got a lot to build on. You've built from the back going forward, and I genuinely think that in the future we can go on to win great things. You know, we can go on to win the Premiership and also the Champions League as well. Louis van Gaal, you've done okay, not great, but you know, you look back to the Netherlands versus Spain. You know, the Netherlands, the hammer is Spain. Van Persie scores, he runs over, he gives Van Gaal the high five. We all thought that that was the Van Gaal that we were getting, but sadly it's not quite been that way. But hey, you know. And also, we also know that when Van Gaal was in the Netherlands, he was in trouble every week with the press and the media, and he has kind of toned that down a bit. But you know what? It's not. Van Gaal hasn't had the best reign in the world, but at the same time, he hasn't had the worst as well. But Van Gaal, you know what? I wish you all the best for the future, and hopefully the things that you've put in place can let us go forward as a club. Come on, the Reds!